Ladies and gentlemen, boxing fans, tea drinkers, and drama junkies, brace yourselves because the GWAT just got gagged. That's right, Claressa Shields, the Olympic champion, unbeaten beast in the ring, and social media's fitness queen, was dragged out of her training facility in full police custody. And guess who was there? His papoose looked like he had just watched his entire playlist of loyalty anthems burn. According to eyewitnesses, he was pleading with the police not to take her, pacing and shaking as if it were the BET Awards again. Grab your popcorn because Claressa's story isn't just unraveling. It's being torn apart like a bad weave in round 12 nail polish. This is the gossip spill vibe, and trust us, you're going to want to see how deep this scandal goes. Let's start at the beginning, or more precisely, from the moment everything started to smell funny at Claressa Shields' training camp. Is a full-blown meltdown that was captured on camera, leaked online, and is currently the subject of a federal investigation because of that viral clip. The mysterious file and the late-night hallway footage. For those of you living under a rock, Claressa Shields, also known as the GWAT, it's the face of women's boxing, or I don't lose, I dominate, has been riding a wave of success so wild that even her haters couldn't keep up with her Olympic Golds championship. Belts, reality show appearances, Instagram deals, and that energy drink promo where she punches through a brick wall. But underneath all that glitz, fans began to notice that things weren't adding up. Let's go back 2 weeks ago when Claressa shared a video of herself performing 16 consecutive rounds of syringe fire. Syringe fans clocked that very quickly. Normally, that would be dismissed as hype talk, but then came the first leak, a blurry hallway surveillance video showing someone who looked a lot like Papoose leaving a locked gym room at 3:12 a.m. with clean combos, no break, no sweat, and no deep breathing. The caption read, "Ain't no fatigue when you're built different." I'm muttering into his phone, "It's handled. She's good for tomorrow," while toting a little cooler bag. Handled well for what it was. That clip alone began trending before Claressa even made a joke that morning. But people also began to notice patterns, such as Claressa's unparalleled training endurance, the abrupt departure of her longtime strength coach, and the fact that she stopped doing open media workouts for the first time in her career. Then came the disgusting picture. You know, the one with a gloved hand holding a tiny glass vial that was time-stamped and geotagged at her private gym. The label was partially torn, but it was still clear enough to reveal a chemical compound that is allegedly listed on WADA's watch list within 24 hours. In 5 different countries, Papoose was the talk of the town. However, in another clip that was released a few days later, you can see Papoose handing Claressa something in between. Sparring rounds? It's brief and subtle, but the zoomed-in fan breakdowns were brutal. Was it water, a supplement, or the vial? Fans have already broken down this case frame by frame. To be clear, none of has been officially confirmed, but in the world of public opinion, the trial was already over and Claressa remained silent. One cryptic post that read, "They're watching, but they aren't ready for what I do next." Then everything went haywire because the one thing no one anticipated, the arrest took place early on Monday morning at 8:46 a.m. after receiving what they described as a formal submission of evidence from an anonymous source. The Detroit Police Department arrived at her training facility. Some claim the evidence came from inside the camp, while others whisper Remy Ma's name louder than ever. Eyewitnesses claim when the officers arrived, this man allegedly tried to block the doorway, got into a heated argument with an officer, and at one point was heard yelling, "She ain't no criminal. Y'all don't know what's really going on." One officer reportedly told him, "Step back, sir. If you don't want to be part of this arrest, don't become part of the report." Phew. Now let's pause for a second. Her team attempted to intervene, but once they showed the sealed warrant, it was over, and she was handcuffed, read her rights, and escorted out while reporters, fans, and gym members stood frozen in shock. I got this fixer for Claressa because one insider, allegedly a former member of Claressa's media team, spilled this tea anonymously. The fact that Papoose was there trying to protect her, like it's 2007 and they're in a Ride or Die mixtape, is what made the footage go viral, because this isn't just about drugs or scandal, but about loyalty, lies, and who's been covering for whom. Some fans claim Papoose was set up and that he's just the innocent ride-along, while others believe he's been playing double agent the entire time. Claressa wasn't just preparing for a fight. This was supposed to be her biggest title defense. Yet on pay-per-view, in front of her hometown crowd. Now that the arena has been reserved for investigation updates and the promo posters have disappeared from her social media accounts, what was once a celebration of greatness has turned into an active crime scene in boxing gloves. And even her own teammates are gradually retreating. One assistant coach liked a shady tweet that read, "The higher they rise, the louder the fall." This isn't new, just eventually captured on camera, and sponsors are already avoiding them as if that weren't enough. The crazy part is that this might only be the beginning, because according to court filings obtained by Gossip Spill Vibe, this wasn't just a local arrest. There is a federal enhancement probe tied to this, meaning if those substances were even present. An energy drink brand that once referred to her as the future of female sport discreetly removed all of her images from their homepage within hours of the arrest. One source claims they even canceled her next 2 campaign payments pending the outcome of the investigation, just 36 hours after Claressa's arrest. It's an anonymous Twitter account called The Gloves Off posted what they called a secure link to over 42 pages of scanned documentation and medical records. Just when we thought that the scandal was Claressa Shields being dragged out of her gym in handcuffs, we hadn't even seen the real dirt yet. Now, the biggest question circulating isn't even about Claressa anymore. Rather, it's what does Papoose really know, and how deep does this cover-up go? Because trust and believe, the next part of the story is about to get even messier, because logs, receipts for supplements, inventory tracking sheets, and even signed authorizations with Claressa's name on them. However, the real twist is that some of those forms also bore Papoose's signature. You read correctly, not just her trainer, but also her man, according to these leaked documents. Papoose was allegedly in charge of logistics for Claressa's personal supplement regimen, which included substances that are currently under investigation, such as X27 Regional B Clear Redline G12 injections. Let's be clear that none of those names mean much to the average fan. But to those in the performance enhancement industry, it's like she walked into fans were quick to jump on the ring with rocket fuel in her veins, and Reddit exploded with TikTok conspiracy channels with side-by-side breakdowns. Comparing her pre-2023 fights to her most recent bouts, one TikToker said, "Notice the bounce in her footwork. That's not normal, that's chemical." But the real damage wasn't just online. It was corporate brands started running faster than Claressa in round 1. A major sneaker brand, which we won't name but rhymes with Nike, quietly archived all posts with her image, while her energy drink sponsor pulled an upcoming TV spot. Just 10 press conferences followed, and within 72 hours of the arrest, Claressa's management team released a robotic 3-line statement that read, "Ms. Shields maintains her innocence. We believe due process will clear her name." No more comments were made at this time, but while Claressa remained silent, the world couldn't stop talking. And the next person to appear was none other than Remy Ma, the queen of timed chaos. Now, we're not implying that Remy was involved, but when she tweeted, "Some secrets belong in the trash. Others belong in court," followed by a trash can emoji and a asterisk boxing glove. Yes, the internet went crazy. Papoose and #Remayos trended right away, and fans began piecing together the timelines of Remy and Papoose's breakup. Rumors began just 2 months before Claressa's vile footage from her messy Instagram Live, in which Remy made fun of someone for using steroids to keep a man. It turned out that the video was posted 2 hours after a Clora sparring video was released. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but in the world of messy YouTube tea, that's essentially a confession. One former promoter even slammed into a podcast. Interviews saying that everyone in the industry knew something was wrong with Claire's camp and that they don't ask. Papu is standing in front of the squad car window, tapping the glass and saying, "Don't say anything until I call the lawyer," while Claressa's team attempted to do damage control the old-fashioned way by acting as though nothing happened. That backfired badly because a local Detroit news outlet obtained footage from the arrest. And you're talking about Claressa throwing her gloves on the floor and screaming? This is a setup. The real surprise is that it took this long for it to blow up straight into someone's phone camera and says, "You better hope the truth doesn't come out about all of you." Who are you all? Why does Papu sound like he's been hiding something? And who else could be involved? Remember, Claressa was supposed to be the main attraction at a multi-million-dollar card in Vegas next month. But now that the fight has been canceled, the undercard is in disarray. And fighters who trained for 8 weeks have lost their paychecks. One of them, an undefeated featherweight named Ariana Snapback Green, went live in tears saying, "I trained my whole soul for this. I got cut from my job just to prep, and now I'm out." We don't support cheating no matter how famous you are. The GOAT title isn't just about punches. It's about honor. And if she lied, that belt's meaningless. Oof. Wrote a well-known boxing YouTuber called Box It or Drop It. If you thought this was just about some training room drama and leaked logs, wait for the twist, because deep in those leaked files was one signed invoice billed to something called Project Recovery Phase 1 date 6 weeks ago, item 4 month. The fan base reacted strongly, with even ardent supporters jumping ship. Let that sink in. Claressa may not have simply used illegal substances. Rather, she may have been funding a covert operation to keep it undetectable. A source close to the case told us off the record that this wasn't a single error. Rather, it was a system, and Papoose was the system's glue. All right, so let's talk about what this means for the man in the hoodie. While Claressa faces suspension, fines, and possibly jail time, Papoose may face obstruction charges if prosecutors show that he knowingly assisted in the concealment of illegal substances forming. And if Papoose is on that list, let's just say that alphabetical order isn't looking so friendly for Mr. P. Meanwhile, Remy Ma, who hasn't said anything since that dubious tweet, just released a new freestyle called Court Date Flow Sample. The lyrics of the song say that he loved you clean but loved her dirty, gave her shots when the gloves got flirty. She didn't name names, but the internet made the connection before the beat even released all of this, and Claressa hasn't said a word, apologized, denied, or held a press conference. Just a courtroom sketch, a sealed locker, and a community of fans wondering, how do we go from GWAT to gone? The worst is yet to come, because as the investigation progresses, names are being whispered behind closed doors by managers, sponsors, and medical staff. And if the federal government digs even one layer deeper, this could not be a two-person fall, but rather an empire collapse. This is where the legacy falls apart, because shortly after the arrest, public pressure reached a boiling point. And when the media smelled blood, they did what they do best. They swarmed outside the courthouse for hours. Some fans arrived wearing t-shirts that read #FREEKSSA, while others chanted, "Strip the belt," as police escorted her through the crowd, which split like it was a heavyweight championship bout. But this time, it was about the truth. And inside, it got even dirtier, according to sources. Federal agents allegedly laid out a timeline of events that spanned 7 months, including anonymous clinic visits under false pretenses, cash payments made through middlemen, custom import orders of flag supplements, and secret recordings made by a former member of Claressa's team. Yes, secret recordings reportedly showed that one of the key witnesses gave over audio, evidence of Claressa confessing to trying something to break through the plateau. In that same clip, Papoose is said to be heard in the background saying, "Just keep your dosage low." All boxing commissions across multiple states are now reopening every match Claressa has fought in since 2022. And some are even considering stripping her titles retroactively. Before we get into the legal ramifications, let's be clear that this was not just a sports scandal anymore. Prosecutors used the phrase criminal misconduct with intent to deceive governing bodies throughout the hearing in an attempt to orchestrate a cover-up. And guess what? Prosecutors flew into Detroit for a private meeting just days after the court date. But what about Papoose? According to internal memos that were leaked more quickly than a BET Awards seating chart, prosecutors are now looking into whether he obstructed justice by falsifying athletic documentation. They are also looking into offshore payments that were allegedly made to a dummy fitness consulting company that was registered in his name. To top it all off, one of Claressa's doctors is now cooperating, allegedly telling investigators that she wasn't acting alone and that every procedure she followed came through. In a now-deleted Instagram story, Claressa posted a black screen with the words, "This world only loves you when you're winning. Remember that?" The caption was followed by a broken heart emoji and a pair of handcuffs, and some fans rushed to defend her. The man who once made Remy Ma cry with anniversary raps is accused of supporting one of the most sophisticated doping operations in recent sports history. You can't make up, but we did, and you're all crying uncontrollably. The story doesn't end in court. Saying that she's being used as an example by others, they've moved on, calling her another Lance Armstrong with lip gloss. Speaking of moving on, guess who has been quietly lurking in the background? Remy Ma. Not only did she release a second freestyle, this one called Warren Season, but fans noticed her liking a post that read, "Play dirty, get dragged." It may have been a coincidence, but when combined with a recent paparazzi photo of her dining with Claressa's former manager, one talk show host made fun of her. Claressa didn't just throw punches, she threw needles. The topic was banned by boxing forums because it caused too much division, and sports networks are frantically trying to decide whether to document her downfall or erase her legacy. Now, for the final twist, an anonymous whistleblower from inside WADA has come forward and claimed that Claressa's case isn't isolated. Yes, there is a whole network of fighters connected to the same shadow doping system. And Papoose may have been their recruiter, middleman, and cleanup guy, which explains the receipts. The 3N is an alias. When your idol goes from champion to prisoner in 6 days, that glove no longer fits. What about Papoose? Some sources claim he's thinking of flipping testimony in exchange for reduced charges, while others say he's still riding high in the hopes that his beloved receives a miracle verdict. If federal investigators confirm this, we might see arrests beyond Claressa, possibly involving managers, trainers, and even sponsors. Nevertheless, this is not just a downfall, it's a cascade of events. We must ask ourselves, was Claressa ever clean? Did Papoose knowingly help orchestrate one of the biggest scandals in boxing history? Y'all, is just the beginning of a much bigger takedown. Okay. Because if a woman who once stood for discipline, legacy, and self-made greatness could be caught up in a lab-tested lie, what does that say about the rest of the industry? And let's be honest, where does Remy Ma fit into all of this? There are too many layers, too many lies, and too much tea to ignore. So tell us in the comments if you think Claressa was framed or if her ego finally cashed a check that her gloves couldn't cover. Also, don't forget to hit like, tap subscribe, and click that notification while you're down there sharing your theories. Oh, and don't forget that leaked project recovery invoice. Who else was in on it? What fighters are still competing with full synthetic support? Is Papoose about to become the snitch of the century to save himself? Here at Gossip Spill Vibe, we don't just tell stories, we reveal. The next one might be much worse, so stay messy, keep woke, and stay tuned. Bell so you don't miss the next bombshell we drop.